Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Sports Career Readiness Project. My name is Nick Fertali, and I am a current undergraduate student studying sport management at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. I am pleased to be joined by the very talented Aubrey Walton, who is the current director of event location strategy and planning with the National Football League. Aubrey, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick. I'm excited to share my expertise and excitement.
Of course. So let's just hop right into it. Would you mind sharing a brief summary of your current role with the NFL and the primary responsibilities in that role?
Absolutely. So, yes, I am currently the director of event location strategy and planning at the NFL. Been here just over 7.5 years, 8 official NFL seasons. When I first started here, I learned that we measure our time here by seasons, NFL seasons, and not by calendar year. So that's why those numbers are a little different. But my role here is to focus on our long-term strategy in the certain locations that we take our NFL tentpole events to. So what does that mean? And what is a tentpole event? That means that with Super Bowl, with the NFL draft, NFL Pro Bowl, NFL kickoff, and NFL combine, along with all the international game locations, my team focuses on where all of those events are going to go and why. So our goal and our role is to work with all the 32 clubs and the cities that the clubs are in to determine how many hotel rooms do they have in their city? What are the key venues that they always work with? What does the stadium look like? What's their convention center look like? How does transportation work? What are the restaurants? Like every single detail in a city, we have to learn and then decide as we work with the host club in that city, we then decide, okay, based on both of our business goals or the league's goals or just the club's goals, how does a decision in taking a major event like one of those events to that city impact the city overall, and then obviously impact the league overall? So it's our responsibility to make sure that we know those cities frontwards and backwards. And then ultimately what we do is we work with those cities and clubs to determine a bid process. So a bid process is, I'll use the example of Super Bowl. Our bid for Super Bowl is roughly 175 pages long, and it details out everything that a city needs to do on behalf of the NFL in order to host the Super Bowl. And so we work with those cities that show interest in hosting and that we invite to host or invite to bid. We work with them up to a year, I would say, in the planning process and kind of responding to that bid. And then after that bid is completed, we then have an approval process where as long as the bid specs are kind of checked off by a city, we then get approval from the commissioner, from ownership, and then ultimately when each individual gets a like an app notification or an email that says the NFL has chosen Los Angeles as the next Super Bowl city, that is the point where that information becomes public, where the rest of the world is finding out in that one moment, but then our team has been working on that for the last 3 to 5 years. So a lot of future forward planning across all of our tentpole events and a lot of bid work on my side of the business.
Yeah, it's probably cool to know things that the general public doesn't know for a while. And
Sometimes it's hard to keep a secret.
yeah, right. And you definitely have a lot on your plate, and some of it probably goes, I guess, unnoticed or something that fans don't think about as much, like the hotels, just anything in a city that people don't generally think about because they just think about the game,
Yes.
right? And the
A
game.
lot of that, a lot of that. One thing somebody mentioned to me once was all the police presence in a Super Bowl city. you forget that all the public safety that you see is planned for,
Right.
and many, many years of details behind all that, and their locations and their times and everything like that. So that's a simple thing that sometimes you just take for granted, but there's so many years of planning behind just that one aspect.
Yeah, definitely gets overlooked.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you grew up in a small town in Ohio where
I
everybody
did.
knows everyone. Most people don't leave the town for most of their lives, yet you're still on the big stage at the NFL. So what have you learned through your journey from coming from Ohio to working in sports?
Yeah, good question. So yes, I grew up in a town of 900 people with one flashing stoplight. Um, Very different than my first job in Los Angeles and then moving to New York for the NFL role. Um, but growing up in a small town really taught me how to um, never forget where you come from, always stay humble, always know that you need to consistently take care of your people, because they're the ones that help got you to where you're at, and they've supported you and they've given you confidence and all the things that you needed to get to where you're at. And then I also think it's important to understand that, yeah, you get to do cool things and you get to travel to cool places and do XYZ that people dream of doing, which was something I dreamed of doing too. Um, but even when you do those cool things and you're like, yeah, I made it, I reached my goal, you always have to stay humble and remind yourself where you came from, how you got there. I remember I was sitting um in my childhood bedroom one day, and I was like, one day I want to uh play in the Super Bowl. And I was like, how the heck am I going to do that um in this small town? I have no connections. I have, like, that's a foreign concept to anyone. Um but sometimes you just have to believe in yourself, and like I said, I've my parents have always supported me through thick and thin, along with my siblings, and like I said, my community. And you can never forget that, because you're always going to need those people, and they're the ones that know you the best. And so sometimes you just got to take a chance on yourself and be confident and know that others will support you however they can to help get you there. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy I grew up in a small town.
Yeah, it's definitely important to not take the people you grew up with for granted, like you said, like your parents, family, friends. That's certainly important. And then your
Yes.
story is certainly a testament to the notion that hard work pays off. I'm sure there are people watching this that might be a little hesitant to get into the sport industry because they're from a small town and they don't have
Hmm.
the connections to make it big, as they say.
Yeah,
But yeah, your story is certainly a testament to the fact that you need to work hard and you can accomplish what you want in life.
absolutely. Working hard is definitely at the forefront, because I'm a testament to not having any connections whatsoever. And then you just, like I said, you have to believe in yourself and know that you can achieve what you want to achieve as long as you put the work behind it. And then opportunities are endless once you do that.
Yeah. So you grew up wanting to work in sports, wanting to work Super Bowls, red carpets. So what are 1 to 2 highlights from your sports career that bring the most joy or the most happiness?
Mm, this is a hard one. There's a lot. Um, I would say from my previous, I'll take one from my first job that was kind of my first toe dip in sports, and then I'll take one from the NFL. Um, I'd say my first not my first internship, but one of my internships, um, was in Los Angeles at a company that at the time represented two NBA players that were very big named people at their at top of their game. And here I was as a 21-year-old at the time that had never been to LA. I had no idea what the entertainment / sports industry was, just what you see on TV. And one of my summer projects during that time was to create an event with a ton of celebrities and sports athletes on Rodeo Drive. And I was like, excuse me, what? What are you asking me to do? I'm 21. I have no connections. This is so intimidating, overwhelming, fill in the blank. So I had June, July, and August to create this massive event that would hit so many influential people that I had to do it, and I had to do a good job, and I was being relied upon, and I knew I had this opportunity in front of me that could really set me apart from other people my age doing similar internships that kind of had the same resume background as me. And so that's one of those times in life where you're like, someone gave me this opportunity and I gotta smash it. I gotta crush it. And so I think that experience of, here I was again, this 21-year-old in clothes that my mom probably made me, going into all these high-end stores on Rodeo Drive, talking with the GMs of those stores, asking them if they would be a part of this event, and then literally planning events within each store to create this larger event that then raised money for the foundations of these two NBA players. So completely out of my element, completely out of my comfort zone. But that was the first opportunity that I had that then gave me that confidence and started me on this journey of getting me to where I am today. And so leading then into the NFL, my most favorite event that we've done to date is the 2019 NFL draft in Nashville. And that was an event that we all still talk about today, because across 3 days, there were 600,000 people that came to that draft. And it just blew out every single metric that we ever had put for ourselves. And the experience was just top notch. We had music, we had all the different stars come. We built a stage in the middle of Broadway, downtown Nashville, that just kind of took over the whole downtown city. And it was just one of those events where you're like, wow, this is one of the coolest things I've been able to do. And so I kind of hang my hat on that one from the NFL side. Two very cool moments, one more of a learning and one more of a, wow, we did this.
Yeah, and it's definitely a plus if you like country music and you're in Nashville.
Yes, exactly. And I love country music, so that helped.
Yeah, definitely an added bonus.
Yes.
Yeah, so before we jump into parting advice, I want to ask you about your coffee program. So do you mind?
Oh, you've done your research.
Yeah, I did a little research. Do you mind elaborating on what that is and how that's helped you in your career?
Yes, I'm so glad you brought this up. So yeah, what I call the coffee program, it's not necessarily what it says, getting coffee. It's more of a way to network. So everyone has 30 minutes they can spare to talk with anyone. It's up to everybody to make that time. So what my first boss actually did for me, she deserves all the credit for this. It's where she kind of started me out on a list of people that I should meet, that we would be talking to every day, we'd be working with. Not necessarily your direct counterparts, but more people. Maybe it's in different departments, maybe it's a vendor, maybe it's a partner of some sort. It's people that are going to be influential in your day-to-day role and or in your career trajectory. And so what she did for me was she gave me about 5 to 10 names, and it was on me to reach out to them to introduce myself, and then to have a 30-minute, whatever, however long it takes, start with 30 minutes conversation with these people and ask them what they do, what their background is, what they enjoy about their jobs. It's not any type of interview. It is more of a getting to know the person and then their job on top of that. And so I've taken that with me through each of my jobs. And when I started to mentor people, coach people, have people report into me, this is something that I have also used for those people as well. And so whenever I have a new person start on my team, I connect with them and I say, hey, this is what worked for me. I still do it today. Where I'm at in my career, I think it would really help you kind of get your bearings, get to know who people are, force yourself to get outside your comfort zone a little bit and meet people at different titles with different experiences. And so luckily, every person that I've been lucky enough to manage has been open to that. And I think they would also say that it has helped them tremendously in getting to know, in this case, the NFL building, and then our vendors, our partners, so on and so forth. It's very crucial, I think, to always network. And some people hate that word, network. I also don't like the word network. It's more of a connection that you're building with another person. And then you have to nurture and sustain that relationship going forward. So it's helpful to each of you, but be careful of the fine line of being an interview and wanting something out of it versus just having that human connection.
Yeah, it certainly shows that people in the industry are willing to help. If you just reach out and ask, they're willing to talk
Exactly.
with you, form connections. That's certainly important in this day and age. I apologize if you can hear in the background. We have a snowstorm going on, so I
Oh,
got the
I can't hear
plow.
it.
Okay, good. I actually got the plow
I can
going
hear
on,
it.
so it's pretty loud. So yeah, let's just finish with some parting advice. So what advice do you have for college students still in college and recent graduates wanting to break into the sports industry?
Yes, good question. So I would probably say, when I'm asked this question, I go back and forth on a few answers. So I'll try and hit on a few without going too long. I think the biggest is kind of with what I said previously about being from Ohio, being from a small town. It is so, 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 so important to get outside your comfort zone. Force yourself to get outside your comfort zone. Too many people are afraid of the unknown and afraid of the next step, afraid of their own potential success. And you have to be willing, if you want it bad enough, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable, to have those coffee conversations with people you've never talked to at titles much larger than yours, even at titles lower than yours, because you never know who's going to make an impact professionally or personally on you. So don't be afraid to get outside your comfort zone. Huge success on the other side if you're willing to put in the time and effort that it takes to do that. I think the other piece is you have to be very adaptable in the sports industry because things change on the daily. I mean, especially at the NFL, no day is the same. So you have to be willing to manage 100 things at once and know how to manage upwards, downwards, across, every which way, because every decision affects everybody. especially in a company like the NFL, and that's very transferable to other companies. Um, so be willing to adapt and know how to adapt in certain situations. That's probably another one. And then lastly, I would say is find your mentors, because you can't, I mean, I'm sure you can get places without help, but in the sports industry, everyone is connected. A lot of us know each other. A lot of us do referrals for other people across different companies. It's so important to have those mentors and a personal advisory board, I would say. So your mentors are more professional. Your advisory board can be whatever you want. Sometimes they're the same people, sometimes they're different. But based on your goals, based on where you want to work, what you want to do, who you already know, create those mentors that are going to help you get to where you're at based on the experience that they have also had themselves. So those are probably my three pieces of advice that I would give to current or recent college grads.
Yeah, I like to say that I've heard the saying that LinkedIn is networking on steroids, right? It's
It
just a
is.
very good way to connect with people globally in your industry that you want to be in and in
Yes,
different industries, every industry. You use LinkedIn
absolutely.
to find your way in LA from Ohio. So I just advise
Yep,
everybody watching who doesn't have a LinkedIn to set one up when you can and start connecting with people in the industries and your peers.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I'd just like to thank Aubrey. Thanks for joining me today. This was a great talk. Everybody watching, thank you for tuning in. I hope you can take what Aubrey has said in these past 20 minutes or so and use it to your advantage to pursue a successful career in the sporting industry. So, Aubrey, thanks again for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. Appreciate it.